Alright, so we're going through the removal process, and you can see me fumble around here trying to get everything out. So I'm sliding this down kind of like so. Move it slowly so again that you don't break anything. Once you get the mighty board out to this point, just grab these the clip at the end so that you can pull it out, and that way it's disconnected so you can fold it out of the way. You don't want to flatten this or try to fold it, you know, real tight or anything like that. Just keep a nice little loop in it, because if you do that, you will break the connection between, uh, going to your extruder and going to your mighty board. So you don't want to damage that at all. But anyway, slide your mighty board out so that you can get this piece out of the way, so that now you can actually slide this out some more, and that's the main reason why you want to do that. And you can see what I'm doing here, how I'm sliding this out of the way and trying to wiggle it back and forth, and now you see that the backing has come all the way out. And so voila, and actually I'm going to install the new motor while I'm at this point now. Figured I'd do that now while I'm showing you all the video. This is the original MakerBot motor, so if you needed the part number, if you had access to this particular motor, this is what the part number is. I looked online, I couldn't find it anywhere. However, I was able to go online. I went to Amazon and I found a motor that's comparable in functionality. Now, if you notice the difference, I don't know if you can tell, but the thread on this new motor is slightly different from the thread on this motor. So what's going to happen is you'll need to keep this thread guide bolt. I don't remember the technical term for it, but you know what I'm talking about. This piece here, you want to keep this piece, disconnect the or unscrew the old one that came off of this plate, and just connect this plate on to this particular piece, and you'll see what I'm saying when you get to yours. Anyway, just take it out, and this one came with a cord attached to it, and for some reason I forgot to disconnect that too. Forgetting all kind of stuff. One thing to note, do not lose these 4 bolts here, because your new motor that you order does not come with new bolts, and the only bolts that you have are the bolts that came with the printer. So be mindful of that. One thing you can do, or you should do, is actually loosen this all the way out. Once you get this out, then you pretty much take your motor with the lead facing outward, just slide it in like so. You don't even have to take this whole back plate all the way out. But once you get it all the way through, now you can take your screws, screw it on there, and then slide it back in place. And I'll show you that momentarily once I screw this motor back into place, and I'll show you where to go from there. I got this back on here. See, as it moves up and down relatively freely. There is a little bit of, I can feel that resistance in there, but hopefully won't cause too much of a problem. Like I said, I'm gonna spray some WD-40 in here. But again, like I said, you can have it about this level. I have my 4 screws screwed in there, and what I actually used to screw it in was this little tool. So I got it from Lowe's, Home Depot. It's just little T8 extended kit. This helped out extremely well getting this motor out and getting it in. So again, that's pretty much the process there. Now, I'm not going to dismantle this to show you how to undo it, but I will show you pretty much point to you what to go to, what to unloosen, and check and all of that to get everything out. But pretty much all you have to do is do what I'm doing right now in reverse to take this out, and you will be good to go. And it's really straightforward in that respect. So have this motor in place, checking this cable here, making sure that it's not going to be impeded in any kind of way, making sure that once you slide this back plate on, that these little notches here line up on these portions right here. And like I said, you're gonna have to wiggle it back and forth, but you really need to make sure that it is straight up and down a level as you begin to push this back into place. But before you push it back into place, you will actually need to push these guide rods back into their proper place. So they just snap in place here, and you'll see it on yours once you take it apart, but you will have to give it a little bit of force to push it back in place, because it requires some force to actually pull it out of place. So don't be afraid of breaking it. I mean, don't just like yank it out, but apply a little bit more force. You're gonna have to give it some real force to pop it out of there, just like you're gonna have to give it some force to push this in. So again, and I want you all to see, you know, the what you will encounter as you go through and do this, and what to be expecting of as you go through and try to fix this yourself. Now what you can do is flex this back some, so take it and kind of bow it out like that, so you open up your gap here. Don't do it too much, because again, this is all plastic and you will break something if you overstretch it. But again, I just kind of took it and flexed it like that, used my thumbs to push it in. You're going to have to give it some force, like I said. But now it's snapped into place. Everything is good. And now it can move up and down freely. The spindle is locked right up in this notch cutout just for it. So as you can see it there. Alright, so everything's in place. Everything's lined up. I am missing a bolt here. I don't know where it is, but the motor itself is pretty stable on there. So now what I'm going to do is just take this piece and just slide it on back. And again, just see how easy it slides on back. Now, what you have to do, you see what I did here? I had to lift this piece up here. One thing I forgot to mention, when you're going through doing this, you'll need to actually pop these clamps off. You'll need to pop these clamps off. And once you do that, you should be able to tilt this up. Now, this piece is being held together by screws up at the front. Don't need to touch those. You don't need to touch these. You don't need to touch any of the other screws. Just only the ones back here. Pop these clips out and you can actually see the clip right here. So this is the clip right here that I'm talking about. You'll just actually need to give it some upward force, and once you do that, it'll just simply pop off. And then that way, that is actually what allows you to pull this out, so that you can lift this up and then slide this all the way out like you need to. And then that'll make it easier, so you don't have to damage this piece on this little tab right here. Alright, so yeah, we're sliding it back in all the way, and again, just kind of making sure that you're pushing it through all the way uniformly. And so you see how this had to lift up for this little lip to allow the backing to come all the way up. So as it's coming up, coming in nice and smooth, so it's nice. It seems like it's pretty much seated where it needs to be right about now. So everything is good right there. Now again, you have 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 screws that you need to put in place there, and actually those are going to be the same ones, not to mention this 5th one here and this 6th one right here. So I'm hoping you can see that, but in these 2 locations. So you're going to have 6 screws in total that you need to unscrew to be able to get this whole back piece out. And once you do that, you should be able to slide this whole unit out and do what you have to do from that. So I'm going to go get the screws and we'll be back. One thing to note, as you're about to screw these screws back into these side plates to hold the back plate in place, you want to make sure that the 4 screws that go here, 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 and here are the ones with daggone it. Alright, let's try that again. Make sure the screws you put in have these actual little I guess washers with teeth. I don't remember the technical term for them or whatever the case is, but you know what I'm talking about. The one with these shaped teeth on there. You want to make sure you have these that go into these 4 slots here, and then you want to have just these plain ones that go back in here. So again, obviously, if you take a picture of what your 3D printer looks like before you dismantle it, you know, you should be good to go and just follow that procedure. But dismantling this is pretty straightforward. So I want to show you guys that so that you can know what to look for, because you want all the screws to go back in the way that they were taken out. That way nothing is missing and your 3D printer will work just as well as it did before. So by the power of magic and editing, in about 1 second, all of this will be screwed all the way back in, and we're going to have our mighty boy slid back in here, which actually I can go ahead and do that now and show you that now. So while we're actually here, make sure that you plug your extruder cable back in. Click it there, make sure it's all the way back in good. Make sure that your Wi-Fi adapter is plugged in, if it is not plugged in, and it actually goes right here. So again, don't forget you need to pull this back and slide it up under this clip here so that it can go all the way through. Now as you do that, stop all the way before you get it in there so that you can plug your Wi-Fi connector back in. And with this is a standard Wi-Fi connecting cable. But if you look here, there's a little small gap inside where this rubber grommet is. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a little small opening right here for this little small pin to fit in right there. You'll see it when you get in there. But anyway, all you do is just set it on top, make sure it's nice and centered, front and centered. Alright, stick it in like that. So now it's sitting on there pretty. And then you just gently slide it in. You don't want to force anything in because that's how stuff gets broke. And you know electronics in America are fragile just like everything else we made. If it's made in America, well, you know, you want to take basically this flat pin and stick it in. Stick it in there. Wait a minute. And again, through the power of editing, all of this will be put back together.